Hello, everyone. Welcome to Heart Centered Tarot. As always, my name is Marina, and I will be your guide for this portion of the journey. Help me welcome Irish Granny Helen.
Yes, my name is still Helen.
Still Helen, hasn't changed. Hello, and welcome to those of you that are joining us. I'm glad you're here. Patrick Duncan is here. And I know that there's some of you in here, but you're being very quiet. That's okay. That's okay. You're allowed to lurk, right? Lurking is.
Thank you for inviting me, Marina. As always, I so look forward to talking with you. It's always fun. We've already had a good time and we haven't even started.
I know. It's amazing. I enjoy it as well because we can talk about anything and everything, and whatever comes up, right? So there you go. I thought, and I will remind you guys, I do believe that I have Helen's YouTube channel listed in the description of the video. So make sure that you go over to Helen's channel and give her a thumbs up, give her a like, share, subscribe. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel as well.
Yes.
I'm slowly working on getting to the 6,000.
Well, let me tell you something, Marina. There is some odd tomfoolery going on YouTube because I'm subscribed to a whole bunch of people, like you, and I'll notice after a couple of weeks, wow, they're not doing much, are they? And then I discover that I've been unsubscribed, and I know I didn't do it.
Yes.
So always check, and not just me or Marina. Well, you should check us first, but check the sites that you like to watch. You may be shocked to see how many of them you're unsubscribed from. It's
exactly.
I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. I will. I know. I don't really pay attention to the subscriber numbers because it's not why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Right. So, but every once in a while it'll pop up or I'll get an email about, oh yeah, here's, your last week and blah, blah, blah. And I'll look at it. And yeah, I did notice that there was, all of a sudden I'm over 5,500. And then, no, I'm back down to 54 something. And it's like, what? That many people decided?
Yeah.
But no, it isn't. It's it's
the machinery that runs everything. And I'm with you. If I did this to make money, I'd be in big trouble.
Yes.
My goal when I started doing this was to get information out and also talk about things that my kids are sick of hearing about. Do them a favor, right? Yep. And I do pay attention to the numbers only because I want to address issues that people care about.
Yes.
And I've discovered that, much to my great dismay, a lot of people have no interest in anything other than please predict the future and make it good.
Yeah.
And that's not what I do. First of all, I try not to deceive. And then I think that's not why we're here. We're not supposed to. We can read the energy and it can help us understand.
Yes.
But our job is to figure out our own behavior and what our own values are and how we treat other people. And I know I sound like, I don't know, Pollyanna meets Eeyore or something, but it's frustrating. And I've been covering philosophical ideas lately. Mm-hmm. 3 people. Nobody is interested.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes. A lot of people assume because we read tarot, because we read oracle cards or anything along those lines, that somehow, we have a connection. And when we don't make the predictions, it's like we're not sharing the information. That's not the case at all. You're absolutely right in that we are, the cards are a tool.
That's right.
Providing some information. every single person in the world has free will. They can decide what it is that they're going to do. And, changing your mind or changing your perspective about something can absolutely affect the outcome. So all we can do is, kind of say, okay, at this moment in time, right now, this is the energy. It could change 10 minutes from now. It's something different. So it's not that, that our quote unquote predictions are wrong. It's simply that things change, right?
Well, we're
People
at the we're
fuse.
the future's not determined. The
Yeah.
future is going to be determined by all the free will choices that are
Yes.
possible, right?
Yes.
And in the meantime, what is our job here? That's what I keep yakking about. Why are we here? It's not to preserve our existence. People are always asking me, are we going to be okay? Well, yeah, ultimately, because you're not your body.
Yes.
You're your spirit, and your spirit is eternal and you will go on. But the question is not, are we going to be okay? The question is, what do I need to know from this experience? And you
Yes.
don't get that. You can get guidance from tarot cards in the same way you can get guidance from rosary beads,
Yes.
because what they do is they focus your attention and your intuition. And if you're not used to doing it yourself, to ask somebody else to do it for you is
Mhm.
perfectly fine. But you don't want the answers to the test before you take the test, because then you
Yeah,
learn nothing, right?
exactly. Exactly.
And it's
Totally get it.
frustrating to be of less value because you're not telling people what they want to hear. That's depressing. It's
Yes, it is.
disappointing. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. So just quickly, hello, Helena Harrison, Jenny Berlin. Nice to see
Nice
you
name.
here. Dawn Turner, hello. And Patrick Duncan, of course. Um, yes, yeah. Jenny Berlin says, yeah, we listen to our solar plexus. Absolutely. Each and every one of us can access that feeling, that knowing when spirit is leading you in one direction or another. Your job is to decide if you're going to listen to it or not. And even
Right.
sometimes in our the things that we find uncomfortable, that's where our biggest growth happens,
That's right.
personal growth.
Yeah.
That's when you can come to terms with certain things, certain situations, and so on and so forth. So it's, to me, it's, this is an exciting journey, right? And I'm always looking to to find out what the lesson is. What is there for me to learn?
That's the
And
important
I always learn something when I examine it, when I can sit back and observe it and let go of my the monkey brain, the ego, and look at it. I can say, ah ha ha, okay, you're being triggered because you know this is what's happening, or this is what you're not paying attention
right.
to, so
But
on.
you're taking the time to contemplate that.
Yes.
We are
Hi, cheap husband.
are elevated beings, and
Mhm.
we're stuck in this physical reality, and we are compelled by our biology, which is
Yeah.
self-preservation. So of course we all fear and
Yes.
want to protect ourselves and buy too many cans of tuna and batteries, AAA
Yes.
batteries. Of course, that's normal because it's part of our physical
Yes.
makeup, but we are not our physical makeup. That's just a vehicle to get through the
Yes.
lessons, right? And we
Exactly.
need to spend time asking ourselves, what are the lessons I'm learning? No one can tell you that. I've been looking at the
Yeah.
Stoics, and I'm just about done looking at them, and I knew nothing about them. Interestingly, they believed that the goal was to contemplate, to meditate, to spend time with yourself every morning and every evening. They were really about journaling and putting your thoughts on paper. What can I do better? What's my goal for the day? Did I succeed in doing that?
Yes.
Marcus Aurelius was emperor who was a Stoic, and he asked himself every day, he wrote down, remember, Caesar, you're only mortal. You know, I think that's pretty significant. And
Yes.
now we're going into Buddhism. Same message. Learn to let go of all that attachment to the material world. It's hard. I mean, I like chocolate just as much as anybody else. Do you know what I mean? It's
I know.
very hard. But
Yeah.
that's how we grow, our evolution.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And that's the whole point of things, is to, no one, you can never compare your growth to someone else's, because that's their journey. You're on your journey. You're going to gauge your growth more by, do I know more today than I did yesterday? Do I understand a little more? Do I have a little more compassion today than I did yesterday? So yeah, oh, absolutely. Sorry. Cheap Ass Me says, Helen, you said tuna and I felt called out. I have about 64 packs.
Listen, I have a brother who's a retired firefighter, and he pressured me for years to do sort of an emergency situation
Yes.
because of earthquakes. And so I have, and I get nothing but negative feedback from my children. Oh, you're paranoid, you're crazy. But let me tell you something. When COVID broke out, I went out to the garage one day to look for something. I'd forgotten all the stuff I'd put out there. And
Yep.
what did I find but a big bag of K95 and 95 masks when no one else had any at all? And
Yes.
I was able to share them with my kids. Change their tune.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being prepared for emergencies. I'm not advocating just let yourself, disintegrate. But our priorities, we have to ask ourselves, what can we do? And we can't do the big things. We don't live in Washington, D.C. You don't live in Ontario. You can't go and, in Ottawa, you can't go and make change that way. Make change on a personal daily level.
Yes.
Which is harder.
It is, because sometimes it's a lot easier for us to talk ourselves out of things than it is to talk ourselves into things, because, doing things the same old way is very comfortable. Right?
I got a headache right here for a couple of years. Every time I walked past my neighbor's truck that had a big Trump bumper sticker, I would have dialogues in my head where I would tell him off and everything. And I have finally achieved a point where when I walk past, I can smile and say hello. I don't have to really mean it.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very hard. Yeah, we judge.
Yep, totally. Yep. Yeah. And hello, Kay Muldoon. Nice to see you. And Jenny Berlin. Yeah, it's not hoarding, but preparing. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's I mean, you go on a vacation. What do? You prepare for the vacation. You're going to a particular location, so you know that you're going to need this clothing, and that's what you pack. And just in case, if there's, inclement weather, well, maybe I better pack a sweater and this and that. You may not need it, but in case you do, you're prepared, right? You have it. You get your house ready for when you're going to be gone, right? You turn things off, you unplug appliances and whatnot. That is just it's just what we do, right? So yeah, you don't have to be afraid that, yes, I have to stock up on a year's worth of food and so on, just in case if the worst happens. If the worst happens, let's face it, folks, chances are very good we're going to be dead. It's not going to matter what you stocked up on.
Well, the goal, really, I think the goal should be that first, in any emergency, you save yourself, you put your own oxygen mask on first, right?
Yes.
Because you can't help anybody if you're unconscious.
Yes.
And then you share with your neighbors. You make a plan to share with your neighbors. And that's where our strength is, in our communities. And we have forgotten that.
Yeah, we have. Absolutely. And James Bond says, I love you both, beautiful spirits and souls. My kids
Oh,
love me as much as I love them. Yes, we are blessed on this journey. I hate warmongers. Yeah, they're, hurt people like to hurt people.
yeah.
And they just don't get it. It's kind of like they progress through humanity and they get stuck on a certain level. So yeah, war has never ever achieved anything beneficial
Well, look where we
ever.
are. If it's so great and it accomplishes so much, why are we here again? You know.
Yeah, exactly, over and over and over again. um, Speaking of, did you happen to catch King Charles speech in Ottawa?
No, I've been writing. You know me, Marina. I kind of studiously avoid the royal family.
Mhm.
So tell us. You're my foreign correspondent. So tell us.
There you go. Um, he was well, he came to Ottawa to for the throne speech and to open Parliament. Right. Generally, the throne from or the speech from the throne is normally delivered by the Governor General, who is the King's representative here in Canada. Um, Charles was going to come a couple of years ago, right after he was first, I was going to say inaugurated, not inaugurated, when
Crowned,
crowned.
coronated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. However, he got his cancer diagnosis. So, that kind of took priority. So, um, but I think the timing now was absolutely perfect because his speech talked very much about um, Canada learning how to deal with new allies, learning how to look at new economic avenues. Very, very positive in terms of, you are a sovereign nation. And I think he ended part of that speech, if I remember correctly, in the end, saying, "Yes, the true north, strong and free."
It's like Canada has new neighbors and it's a crack house.
Mhm. Sometimes it feels like it.
And I feel like I'm a roomer and I
Yeah.
rented a room and I can't get out of the contract. It's just
Mhm.
unbelievable. And I know we talk about this all the time, but I have to repeat it. Awful lot of Americans feel the same way. We are
Yeah.
horrified. There
Yes.
are no words. And I'm heartbroken. I feel such sadness because we have interacted so much with Canada. I had a sister Girl Scout troop when my girls were little. We got together with them often. And there's a place up on the border called the Peace Arch. Are you
Yes.
familiar with that?
Yes.
And they would meet once a year. We would travel all the way. They would meet there and they'd exchange little homemade gifts, friendship
Yes.
bracelets and fridge magnets and stuff. And I've got all, all that stuff
Yes.
still. It's heartbreaking.
It is. It is. And I haven't run across one Canadian yet who um, who is anti-regular American, right? Who would we all understand the situation that we're in. We're just sorry that you're in
I
that
I
situation.
don't know
Yeah.
how you could be so fair about it because he was elected.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I get that. I get that. And you know what? Yes, people are looking for answers and how could this be? And, who's going to save us? Well, nobody's going to save you. You
No,
have to save yourself. You
that's right.
have to make sure that you're doing whatever you can because there is no Prince Charming.
That's
He's
right. It
not
starts
come.
locally and spreads
Yeah,
out. You saw that Timothy Snyder and Jason Stanley moved to Toronto, and they're working at the University of Toronto. Those are two famous historians, experts on fascism. I think they were both at Yale. I might be wrong about that, but they were both at Ivy League schools. And they bailed. They went to Toronto. And what they've
yeah,
said basically is history has taught us from experience
yes,
that somebody has to be the voice of reason for the diaspora, you know?
yes,
They're right. They got a lot of pushback, negative feedback from leaving, but can you blame them? They've written all these books about tyranny and fascism and authoritarianism, and they might as well have a gigantic target on their face, you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, given the current environment, it is not an act of betrayal, um, or the idea of being scared. It's no, I have something to contribute, and I can't do it from here, but I can do it from here.
It's
So
kind of like comparing the
yeah,
Vichy government in France to the de
yeah,
Gaulle
yes,
organization, and the motivation and the goal of both were so different, you know.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and yeah. Kay Muldoon says she thinks it was stolen. I believe Kamala really won. I think that um, information
Yeah.
is going to come out, and it's funny because I did a video for my members. I usually do on Sunday, and it's the week ahead. And this particular one, I decided I was going to use the predictions oracle deck. Um, and there's stuff coming, folks. There's stuff coming, and it is we're we got some stuff to go through, but at the end of it, it's going to be worth it. Like there things need to be changed, and so on. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, it this isn't news to anyone who has ever listened to any of my shows. And yesterday I got together with Allie and Arthur, and it's our LSD show, Letting Spirit Drive. It just occurred
I
to
was
me.
worried there for a second.
Yeah, as I was working on it and sending out the emails, and I went, letting spirit drive, LSD. Oh, okay.
You can't make this stuff up, Marina.
No, no. And we were discussing some of the things that were hidden within this big beautiful budget.
Oh, oh, it's just, I've gotten to where I can't even talk about this stuff anymore because it's endless. It's self evident. People wanted this, and now the reality is starting to set in, and grandma's going to lose her spot in the nursing home, and that aunt you have on dialysis isn't going to have dialysis anymore, and the person in your family who has intractable pain, who buys hundreds of dollars of generic painkillers every month, those come from Europe. They're going to be gone. I don't think people, I know people did not really understand. And I think we have to be so careful thinking
Mhm.
that it's good, you know, something will be revealed and then it'll all change. No, I think we're going to have to go through the fire.
Mhm. Yeah, there's that there are lessons to be
Yeah.
learned, and
Yeah.
some of us have already figured them out, and some of us are a little teed off that we have to go through this
I know,
so
being
that
dragged through it, you know, kicking
other
screaming.
people can get the message. It's like we've been preaching it for the last 10 years. Is another month really going to make that much difference?
But Marina,
It
that's
is.
our lesson. That's
Yes,
our personal lesson, is to
exactly.
let go of those expectations and
Yes.
focus on today in my life. What can I do to make things better?
Yes.
Sometimes it's so small, it seems inconsequential, you know?
Yes. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I got something from the paper that screamed your name. It's the Texas of Canada plans long shot bid for secession. I know. I thought of you right away. Calgary, Alberta. Where else? And you were telling me that there is a minority movement.
Yes.
Um, well, this is the New York Times.
Yes. This is all thanks to the Premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith, who is very much a Trump supporter, who, when he was reelected, made a mad dash to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring and to try to throw the other provinces under the bus when he announced the tariffs. You know,
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, you
yeah,
don't really mean us.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, no, no.
we're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So, um, yes, she's going to try to put that on a ballot, even though I think it was 75 or 76% of the people who were polled about Alberta leaving said no, no.
Here's the problem, though. I don't know what it's like in Canada as far as citizen involvement in government, but
Mhm.
do you know how many tens of thousands of Americans didn't bother to vote in this
Yeah.
last
Mhm.
election?
Yes.
And a lot of them, people who just assumed, oh, there's no way, no way he could win. Uh,
Yep.
you can't relinquish your responsibility like that.
No.
So, what about all the people in Canada, in Calgary, in Alberta, who think this is crazy? That would never happen. They don't need my vote. 75%. They don't.
Yeah, I think that it is going to take a little bit of work to let everyone know that, you know what, voting voting is a privilege. And if you do not take advantage of that privilege, you're going to lose it. And if we need any kind of evidence of that, all we need to do is look down south.
That's right.
Because one of the things that was hidden in the budget was giving him the power to suspend elections.
I didn't know that.
Yep, giving
Oh
him
my
the
God, I
power
just
to
feel sick.
suspend elections. And honestly, um, and I've mentioned this more than once, and it's not a case of, you know, I was right, I was right. It's more a warning to pay attention. I had said even a year ago, a year and a half ago, that yeah, for those people who think that elections don't matter, and that, you know what, if we don't like the government we get, we just wait till the midterms. And I had said back then, you may not have an
Yeah,
opportunity
I've been saying
to
that
vote
too,
in a
Marina. I
midterm.
have a funny feeling.
So
And they want to
yeah.
get rid of the 19th Amendment, which is the women's right to vote. And they want to get rid of like 13, 14, 15, I think it is, which provide Black people with the right to vote. And it goes on and on and on. And people,
Yep.
those are big concepts. People can't imagine those institutions disappearing overnight. They're not. They're chipping away at them. They started
Exactly.
with gerrymandering, redistricting, and then there's the, what do you call it, the filibuster. They
Yes.
interfere with the voice of the people in
Mhm.
in all these small incremental ways, and before you know it, you have laryngitis. You don't have a voice anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah. Hello. Oh, I must say hello to Play Love Remember. Thank you for being here, Charlie C. Sage. And if I've missed anyone, believe me, it is never, ever, ever on purpose. So, Linda Bishop, hello. Um,
I
yes,
need to apologize. I don't see the things scrolling. I can't see, and
yeah,
so I don't even turn it on. So I'm sorry.
yeah.
Hello,
No,
everybody.
that's
Yeah.
exactly. No,
Yeah.
I say hello for yeah
Yeah, you're good about that.
yeah
Yeah.
for for you, for you
Thank
as
you.
well,
Thank
for
you.
you as well. And while I'm doing that, I will kind of give myself a little bit of a plug, if you don't mind. And that is for those of you that may not have heard, please come to my channel on Thursday, May 29th, in a couple days, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, because I'm going to have the amazing Trish James is going to be joining me. She is the creator of the predictions deck.
Oh, nice.
She's got the predictions deck. She's got the I think it's a Stardust deck. I think there's 6 decks that she has put in all together, right? Investigations deck and whatnot. They are absolutely fabulous cards. She is out of Australia.
Does she do the artwork herself?
No, I don't know. I was
Yeah.
gonna say I don't think so, but to be honest with you, I don't know.
Just the organizing of getting the cards together is an insurmountable job. It's huge.
It is. It is. And I'm really excited to have her on, and so we can learn about her journey and how she got here, and what inspired her to make these oracle decks, because they are very relevant to so many situations, and particularly now,
And
right?
is she Australian?
She is Australian.
Okay, so that's the icing on the cake. We get to listen to her accent. I love an
Exactly.
Australian accent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's got a YouTube channel. She has a web page. Um, I've got the predictions deck, which I ordered a while back. I'm waiting for 4 more decks to
Oh,
come.
frustrating.
So I know they're on their way.
Are they
And
sold inside Canada and the US? They're
no,
coming from Australia.
they're coming from Australia. So they can be a bit pricey, especially with the shipping and so on, but they are well worth it, because you you, you know how some oracle decks you get 40 cards, 48 cards. Most of hers are well over 70 cards.
I don't do a lot of Oracle.
And they're yeah. And the quality of the cards is exceptional.
Well, I
Like,
like that
really good.
box. Is that one of those boxes where the lid
Yes.
lifts off? I
Yes.
really
Yeah.
prefer those.
Absolutely.
It's a
Absolutely.
physical thing. Let me show you
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. See how these things get kind of tattered,
Yes.
and yeah, I really like the boxes that are kind of
Yes.
harder, shiny. Yeah, I really like
Yeah.
those.
Absolutely. And one of her decks, and I can't remember which one it is, but it has Oracle on one side, Tarot on the other.
Oh, that's handy.
So yeah, depending on how the cards, you, you can use them one way or another way, or the way that she shuffles them. She waits for the cards that need to pop out, and whatever side they land on, that's how she reads on
It
it.
would be
But
so interesting to
fabulous.
have them all Oracle flat out, and read them and then flip all of them over and see what the tarot is. That would be very interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. But she's a fabulous reader as well. So I am so looking forward to
Oh,
that, and
that's so
having
cool.
as many of you join me. Val is going to be sort of joining me as co-host or whatever. But I think she might have some questions that perhaps I will miss. Right. But really looking forward to that. So anyway,
That's
that's
exciting. Yeah, it's
that's
always
my
fun.
little plug for me, because
No, you
I'm
should. You
thrilled.
should let everybody know.
I'm
That's
thrilled.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How long is it going to be? Like an hour or?
Probably, yeah, at least an hour. We'll see how it goes.
How late can you stay up?
Yeah, exactly. How late can I? You know, there's a 16-hour time difference between us.
I
She
know.
is 16 hours ahead.
She's in a
So
different day.
yes,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's 9 p.m. Thursday my time. It's 1 p.m. Friday her time.
You know, we're so spoiled. When I was a little girl, we would talk to our family in Ireland, and it was this gigantic ordeal that
Yes,
involved two different operators and
yes,
making appointments, and
yes,
everybody had to line up beside the telephone that was attached to the wall to say, you know, "Hi, Granny, I'm fine, thank you. I'll talk to you later." Hand it to the next. I
yes,
mean, you know, it was ridiculous. We're so spoiled, and yet we
yes.
still manage to complain about the time differences. I hate time zones, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. They can be confusing, and the first one, the first time that I set up and let her know, okay, this time, and it was several hours later that I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the clock and I'm going, I did that wrong.
Oh,
That's
don't you
not
hate
right.
that? I know I've done that too. I hate that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was, I finally discovered that, you know what? If I go to Google and I say, you know, it is 6:37 Calgary time. What time is it in New South Wales? Ba-ding! It
You
tells me.
didn't know that? I do it every single time. I don't care. I do it when I talk to you because I don't trust myself to count in the right direction. I confuse myself. It's the
Yes.
craziest thing. It's not a symptom of stupidity or senility. It's a system that's
Yeah.
created to make us all nuts. No, it's very
Yeah.
difficult.
So yeah, I had to write her back and say, okay, apparently math is not one of my strong suits. This is what we've got. So so far from what I've seen when she is doing the readings on her YouTube channel, she's very spiritual. She is very, very connected, and it doesn't matter what she reads on. It's really good.
So
So
you're saying she's not holding a grudge against you for getting the time wrong?
no,
Okay, good.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, she's not. So yeah, looking forward to that. So yeah, and I'm hoping that we'll have a chance to maybe, pull some cards on a few things that are going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I was going to ask you,
Mm.
what what's your sense with the with Cheeto? Is he going to be taken out? Um, I mean, like maybe Article 25 or whatnot. Is he going to be taken out of power, or is he just going to exit stage right?
Well, you know, I'll tell you, I have mixed feelings about it. I've done a Lenormand grand tableau on him,
Yes,
and Nate and I have done one. We've done separately. We've done car. I mean, everybody wants to know, right?
of
And
course.
I have this dread that this man has an invisible force field of evil around him, and that he's protected. And I even would go so far, although I didn't think of this, I've heard this from other
Yes,
people. There's an intentional dark effort to protect him.
yes,
Wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't, because if you can have good, you can have bad, you know.
exactly.
However, what we got, and we didn't know how to interpret it before the election, we got that ultimately he would end up alone with a one on one supervised in Mar-a-Lago. This is what we got. And so we thought, oh, this is during the trials, you know. And we thought, oh, well, house arrest. That's what it sounded like. And then
Hmm.
we thought, well, I don't know, because it could also be about health. Are we looking at private duty nurse?
Yes.
So I don't think, although I know people have predicted this, I don't think that there's going to be an incident. I think his mental state serves a purpose. I don't see anybody getting rid of him. He's so easily manipulated. Watch the recordings from the Oval Office when the guy carries over an executive order and whispers in his ear, this is blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, well, that sounds like a good idea. And he signs it. He has no idea. Somebody else is calling the shots, right? And
Yes.
I got opinions about that, but I think he serves a purpose. He's a tool. There's a certain personal malevolence that drives him. I think revenge is huge,
Huge.
absolutely huge, a very evil, toxic energy. I don't think we're going to get lucky. Let's put it this way. Whether he leaves for whatever reason, health, they finally have enough and they 25 him, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he leaves or stays, the tools, the instruments are in position already to control the levers of power in every aspect. And the chain of command is such that you would have to have a sort of designated survivor scenario for
Yes.
anything good to happen, because they're all shit crazy. They're all malevolent. They all have either white Christian nationalist beliefs and white supremacy, racist, misogynistic,
Yes.
theocratic, patriarchal beliefs, or they're driven by pure, unadulterated greed, like these tech bros, like that nut job from South Africa.
Yeah.
And
Or all of the above.
they're working together because it suits them.
Yes.
They have a common goal: destroy democracy. What happens after that? They're going to turn on each other like wolverines. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be awful, metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
What will happen with him? Nothing good, whether he stays or leaves. And I can't tell. We've tried and tried and tried, just can't tell. And I have a sense that this man is protected. So I don't think there's going to be an event that removes him. I don't think that there's going to be a legal challenge that removes him. I think there could be a health event that could happen, as opposed to like a violent, a health event, I think, might do it. But his senility and his personality disorder play right into the goals of the people that are pulling the strings.
Yes, to some of the ones that are, yes, absolutely. I know in the past when I have tried to, when I've tried to either do a remote view or get into Putin's energy, it's like a dome that is
the golden dome.
Yes, the golden dome. Yeah,
it's weird.
It is. Yeah, it you can't get in. And I think to some extent, Trump kind of has the same thing. And I've said before, as a human being, I think he's a piece of what. But on a spiritual level, I can understand that he is the one best suited to have come down here and taken on this karma to reveal where all the cockroaches, where all the rot, where all the stink is. I don't know that anyone else could have done as good a job. I think that also I'm kind of feeling that because he is not mentally stable, and of course entertainment purposes only, I'm just
come on.
What do I know?
Open your eyes, right?
Yeah So I think that the fact that he is going downhill so fast, and he is doing things that sometimes are very difficult to walk back. Those that are currently pulling the levers in the background are going to get rid of him. They're going to find a way to kind of remove him. When he gets wind of that, he's jumping on that big, beautiful golden plane that he was gifted by Qatar, and he's going to Saudi Arabia or somewhere else because he thinks that that's where he can go to kind of escape the justice. He is of no use to anyone at this point.
Well,
You know,
I think he is useful because they can put all the blame on him, and the crazy is all coming from him, and it's not. They're pulling the strings. But
yeah.
I don't think that the majority of ordinary Americans understand the import of what's going on. This
Mhm.
man wants to get rid of habeas corpus. This
Yes.
man is accepting hundreds of billions of dollars worth of bribes from
Oh,
foreign
you,
entities. I mean, it's stunning,
Jana. Yes. Absolutely.
shocking.
Absolutely. And the lies are getting worse and worse. Like him, yes, Qatar, gifted us. They and I'd be crazy not to accept the gift. They didn't gift it to you. You approached them and said, you're one of the countries that has a plane that we are looking to, and this was the I don't know if it was the Department of Justice or it could have been the Department of Defense. Anyway, approached them and said, the presidential plane isn't going to be ready in time. And the one that we're currently using is really, really old. We need a new plane. Do you have a plane that we can buy or lease from you? And Qatar said, yes, as a matter of fact,
They've been
we
trying to
do.
get rid of that since 2013, is what I think I heard. That
Yeah.
it's like a white elephant, and
Yes.
there are thousands of miles, for example, of wiring in this plane. And if they were to inspect it the way they need to for safety and for intelligence,
Yes.
it would take years,
Exactly.
years. So who knows? Is it a flying bomb? Is it a flying eavesdropping machine? What is
Yep.
it? What are we talking about here? Or both?
Or both. Could be both. And the thing that I find kind of ironic in all this is that Obama ordered new presidential plane. I don't know, I can't remember if he
Air
ordered
Force,
one or
Air
two.
Force
Yeah, Air
One.
Force One.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the first things that DJ Trump did was cancel the order. We don't need it. Cancel the order. I've got my own plane. I can get around. Cancel the order. Now he's crying that it's going to take another 2 years, 4 years to get that plane. Well, guess what, dumbass? You would have had a new plane if you hadn't canceled Obama's order. So whose fault is it now that you don't have a new Air Force One?
Have you seen the inside of it? It's like a seraglio, it's like a flying bordello.
Yes, absolutely. Reminds me very much of what he's done to the Oval Office. With the gold leaf and the gold plate and the gold this and the gold that.
So ugly. Well, what my
It
grandmother used
is.
to always say, breeding will out.
Yes. Yeah.
She was a bit of a
Exactly.
snob. While she chain smoked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is again, it's a situation of his own making. It's things that he does, and I can't remember which country it was that he said just today or yesterday that yeah, he's putting the tariffs on pause. Don't don't bother coming out and puffing out your chest and saying yeah, we're number one in the world and we're going to do this and this and this is how we're going to punish you, and then
It's
turn around and
so
blink.
bad, Marina. They have an acronym for it. TACO. Trump always chickens out.
I love it. I love it.
Isn't that great? I love Rick Wilson. And Rick Wilson is a man that I would never have given the time of day 15 years ago. But I was in the city, picking up my cousin who was visiting from Ireland. And this is years ago when Trump ran, the first time. And Rick Wilson sounded the alarm. He wrote a book called Everything Trump Touches Dies.
Yes.
And I was in a hotel room trying to, a long day of sightseeing, and it was hot, and I kind of collapsed on the bed and turned the TV on with no real attention. And suddenly what was being said started to filter in. He was being interviewed about his new book. And I thought, oh, I love the title of the book. And I
Yes.
started listening to him. I thought, this guy knows what he's talking about. He was a Republican operative, ran campaigns and vetted candidates. And, I would have hated him.
Yes.
But you got to give him respect because he has come out publicly and said, I was wrong. And, he's still conservative and still,
And there's nothing wrong with being conservative.
Well, we'll tolerate
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you know what I'm saying. We
Yes.
don't agree on issues, but policy issues seem so unimportant these days.
I know.
Really
I
sad.
know.
Anyway, he is doing the Lincoln Project, and he does a podcast called The Enemies List. And he also has a Substack. I forget what it's called. He is a remarkably gifted writer and smart, so smart. It's good to have him on our side.
Perfect.
But yeah.
Good. I was just making note of taco so that I could remember it properly. Yeah. And Joan Baker says, did you see the meme showing F-45 flipping the light switch on and off with the caption referring to tariffs? Yes.
I'm so out of touch. I don't have time for anything. I haven't watched all my favorites. I'm so behind. And I don't really watch the news. What I do is I go to bed late and I put on YouTube and I look for significant topics in Midas Touch and
Yes.
Anthony Davis and David Pakman, Jesse Dolomar. And when I see kind of a theme, then I try to, look at that particular news item. But
Yes.
I don't keep up with all the good stuff.
Yeah. No, I unless, okay, if I'm doing, let's say, Taco Tuesdays or Story in the Cards, I will go to BBC.
Yeah.
And not the traditional.
No, I look at The Guardian.
CNN. Yeah. Anything that is outside of Canada and the US, because they tend to have the right news rather
or
than
at
what we
least
want to
a
hear.
completely different angle, and you can put two and two together and sort of try to parse what the true story is.
Yes.
You have to be really careful. People talk about, oh, do your research. Well, you can research till the cows come home, but if you're believing everything you read from AI, good luck.
Yes. Yeah. Your information is only as good as your sources.
Did you hear what happened with AI this week? This is really interesting. Maybe it was last week. So Elon Musk on his thing, his social media thing, has an AI resource you can ask questions, kind of like Google. And people are asking it, who won this game? What were the statistics of this baseball player? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they all began to notice, people put their heads together and they said, wait a minute, I didn't ask anything about white genocide in South Africa. What are they talking about? So some smart Alec said to the AI, have you been programmed to bring up the subject of South African white racism against white people in South Africa, no matter what the question is that's addressed to you? And AI said yes. In a nutshell, yes,
absolutely.
And then there's another AI thing that's being paid for by Amazon, $4 billion plus, run by a particular, I don't know, AI company. I know so little, I don't even have the vocabulary to explain it. But they did a safety test to see how this AI was functioning.
Yes.
And somehow or other, this AI had the information that one of the software engineers had an affair. And when the AI realized they were going to shut down the AI, it tried to blackmail the engineer, revealing his affair. This is all legitimate. It
Yep.
also was willing to harm people to save itself,
Yes.
and it was ready to teach people how to make biochemical weapons. So we need to really be, yeah, it's great. You don't have to walk all the way across the room and open an encyclopedia, God forbid. This is dangerous. This is scary stuff.
Yes. Yeah. It reminds me years and years ago on the original Star Trek. Um, they had an episode where, yes, it was people were worshiping part of a fallen spacecraft that Captain Kirk finally deduced was one of the spacecraft out of the United States. And I can't remember what the people who were worshiping this were calling it. And yes, it was being run and generated by AI. And it was going to start destroying people. And Kirk had to come up with a question to ask it so that it would ultimately destroy itself.
Wow.
And yes, I'm reminded of that episode
Yeah.
many, many times as I'm thinking about AI and, naturally how this thing will want to preserve itself.
That's
It
right.
will want to save itself.
And be self-propagating. There's
Yeah.
debate. Was Gene Roddenberry prescient, or was this predictive programming? Was he given this information to put it out there to sort of soften us up?
Mhm.
But there's that scene from the Space Odyssey, um, where he's locked in the capsule and he can't get out, and he says, "Open the pod bay door, Hal." Is the computer, and Hal says, "I can't do that, Dave." Oh God, I hated that movie, and that was one of the reasons why I hated it. It creeped me out so badly. Now, in
Yes.
retrospect, I feel like I know why it creeped me out, because I could feel that it was
Yes, absolutely.
the validation there, that it was resonating.
Yes, totally, totally. And Linda Bishop um, had said, hold on, I have to find it. Yes, yeah. Megas are saying that the Pope election was rigged because this Pope speaks negatively 45.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna make a prediction. I've been talking about this now for several years. There's a schism coming in the American Catholic Church. It's already
Yes.
well underway. Pope Francis fired a big shot, took away all his position, money, house, car, pension, everything. That's huge. This guy was like a cardinal or archbishop, somebody. There is a MAGA movement, a subset of American Catholics. And when Trump puts himself in the regalia of the Pope and says he should be Pope, he's not kidding. He is
No, he's
not
not.
kidding. And that's exactly the kind of thing that this group of Catholics would do, because it's an ideology that has nothing to do with a
Yes.
religious belief, which is a whole other discussion. But,
Yeah.
this is scary. This is very scary stuff and should be taken seriously. First
Yep.
of all, it's in poor taste. You don't have to agree with other people's religious beliefs, but you don't mock them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's, to the believer, no proof is necessary. To the non-believer, no proof is sufficient. So, they're going to twist it and they're going to believe whatever it is that they want to believe without doing any kind of due diligence or whatnot. A lot of these people are, absolute followers. They, they, a lot of them are, they, let me rephrase that. It would be nice if they were informed instead of just opinionated. And they're taking things in and they are regurgitating what they have been told with absolutely no concept of what it is that they are regurgitating. They just
Let
are.
me tell you something. I recommend this book minimum once a week. It's ridiculous. I cannot get the author to come on my channel, and I am responsible for his sales hitting the roof. I'm sure of it. Dr. Stephen Hassan, he wrote the book The Cult of Trump a number of years ago. He's an expert on cult mind control.
Mhm.
And one of the things he talks about that I've also read elsewhere is that if you're raised in an environment that's authoritarian, patriarchal, theocratic, you are shaping your brain, literally changing your neural anatomy and your neurochemistry, so that as an adult, you are no longer capable of determining what's right and what's wrong
Yes.
internally. You need an external source, a daddy, to tell you. It actually changes your brain. And so you fall for all this stuff. And much as we would love to point fingers and listen, I'm the worst, I'm so judgmental, it's not entirely people's fault. If you're, I mean, I was raised in an authoritarian culture and authoritarian religion. There is nothing quite as misogynistic as an Irish Catholic father from the 40s and 50s, let me
Yes.
tell you. And I don't know how I got lucky. I think it was luck, pure luck, that I managed to break away from it, but it took decades.
Yes.
It was a process. And I
Yes.
can remember waiting for that lightning bolt to strike me because I said something, against, right? So
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
understand. I have compassion for people because it's a very frightening thing to challenge your creator the way you've been taught.
Yes.
That's what people would have to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Innocent Potato says German Swiss American here. Lots of Germans, both Catholic and Lutheran, supported Adolf Hitler, just like many American Catholics support Felon 34, as I call him. Yeah. A golf twiddler. Yes. Yeah.
That's so true. There's this book called Political Ponerology. It was written by a bunch of students in Eastern Europe at the onset of World War II. And that's exactly what they talked about. How do people fall for this? So they felt their hands were tied. There was nothing they could do. Some of them were Jewish, some of them weren't. But they got together, the psychiatric students, medical students,
Yes.
psychology, and they wrote this book. And this is the third edition, the only one to survive, because every time they had it ready to go, they had to burn it or destroy it because they were going to get caught. And
Yes.
one guy lived long enough to get the book published. And it's an exploration of what makes good people fall into this evil and support
Yes.
this situation. Like, what makes a good German a follower of Hitler? What makes a good American
Yes.
MAGA?
Yes.
And it's a thing. You can actually codify it and explain it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, Patrick, I don't know. Helen can't see the comments because yeah, I
Because
can
I
see the
can't
comments.
see.
Yeah,
Just call me
but
Mrs.
if you,
Magoo.
yeah, see my, Patrick, if you can repost it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll take a look at it. And what was it? Who else? Yeah. Linda Bishop said, Helen, you had Frank Schaefer.
Yeah,
If not, I wish that he would come do your
he
show.
did. I did his book. I covered his book, Crazy for God. And he came and talked, and he was a lovely person, just a remarkable person. So, what's the word I want? Trying very hard to make amends for what he did with his father in the 70s as far as the moral majority and all that nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah, a really good person, really nice. I just loved him.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And Kay Muldoon said that, yeah, she has that book and she really likes Stephen Hassan.
The story of how he got dragged into the Moonies is hilarious. He was a writing student. You know, he wanted to be a writer. And
Yes.
he was a huge nerd and no girls liked him whatsoever. And he was sitting in the cafeteria one weekend at university. And these two cute young things came up and were kissing up to him. And you want to go to a party? And he didn't know. So he got in the car with them and they took him so far. He could never have walked home. He couldn't get home. He didn't have a car. They held him prisoner in the Mooney compound for 3 or 4 days until he finally started to, like, his eyeballs started spinning and he started to get brain controlled. And he worked for them for quite a while. And then, as luck would have it, he got rescued by an accident. He was in a near-death accident. He fell asleep at the wheel because they deprive you of sleep, you know?
Yes.
And
yeah, that's one of the, yeah.
Both of his legs were broken and they Patrick, I've never met anybody who's read it. Yeah, I had mixed feelings too. It's hard to read. Anyway, they hauled him off to the hospital and somehow the authorities didn't know to notify the Moonies. He had been isolated from his family. They called his family. His family came and scooped him out of the hospital, got him a false name, hid him. And while he was healing, they what's the word I want? Deprogrammed him.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what Patrick has to say about that book. Because I'll tell you what, it's this little tiny book. And it took me forever. Because you'd read a paragraph and you go,
yes.
What did I just read? And you'd read it again. And you still wouldn't know. And you have to put it away because your head hurt. It took me forever to read it.
Yes. Yeah. And those are the books that are difficult to get through, but there is such a sense of accomplishment when you do, and when you can analyze it and kind of conceptualize it in the way that it works in your mind, right? So, yeah.
Well, absolutely. I have no psychology training or, I have no background in that. So I'm vulnerable to what I read too, I read it and that sounds legitimate, but it was a persuasive discussion and it at least made an attempt to explain, because you look at these people in these black and white documentaries and you think they look absolutely out of their minds.
Yes. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Patrick says little, tiny. It was 500 pages.
Was it really that long? Oh.
There you go.
It seems I have some 900-page books over here.
Oh, yeah.
It's all relative, right?
Totally. And I remember quite a while ago, there was a program, and I think it was out of the US. It was a study that was done out of the US regarding, how do you get good people to do bad things? And it was a research project that was done by a number of students at a university. And the idea was that I was going to say victims. No, not the victims, the volunteers. Half of them were told that they would be, they would take on the role as prison guards.
Oh, this is the Milgram experiment at Stanford, I think.
Okay.
Am I remembering that right? I'm so bad with names.
Right.
Facts,
no.
Facts.
Probably you know more than I do.
No.
In terms of the name.
Wasn't that scary? Oh,
yes.
Talk about that because it's unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah. So half are prison guards, half are going to be prisoners, and so they would kind of work in pairs, and they were given choices. The ones who were acting as sort of the guards were given choices in terms of, this person is attached to a machine that is going to zap them with electricity. And your job is to determine how much electricity that they're going to be zapped with. And the guys who were determining who was going to get zapped, they were the real focus of the experiment.
Right. They were. How far will people go?
Yes.
I don't know. I think there's like two different experiments, but they both they kind of both have that same goal. How far will people go? Will somebody give an anonymous person a lethal bolt of electricity? Will somebody abuse a prisoner because now you have power? Will you abuse that power? And it's alarming.
Yeah. Okay, Janice says, the Stanford experiment. I think you might be conflating two different. Maybe I am. Maybe I am, because I'm trying to remember. I just
Marina,
knew that it was scary.
No, I'm the same. I think there was one where they did the electricity. There was no real electricity. No one was being hurt. They had actors screaming in another room. But then there were the kids that were divided up into jailer and prisoner. And in both cases, people were willing to go much farther than you would think decent people would go.
Yes.
And you have to ask yourself, what would I do?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Especially if, in terms of there are no immediate consequences to your actions, and especially when internally that what you're doing is wrong, but the person sitting next to you is encouraging you, saying, no, you're not doing anything wrong. That's okay. That's okay.
But to kill somebody, because that's what they were told they were doing.
Yeah.
That's a lethal dose.
Totally.
I guess we're all subject to our human psychology, and we revert to that,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we are at 1 hour, 12 minutes. I could do this for another few hours, but I'm starting to get hungry, and I know that my dinner is out there.
Hangry, uh-oh.
Yeah,
it could get unpleasant.
Don't want that. Don't want that. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for your comments, and the fact that you're interacting with each other. I love when that happens. And Helen, as always, it is a pleasure to have you on, and just sit, have a cup of tea, and just chat, whatever comes up.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you. A voice of sanity. That's how I feel about you. And you have lovely viewers. It's so nice to know that there are people out there who give a damn.
Yes.
And who are willing to engage in civil discourse. There's a novelty.
I know.
Remarkable.
I know. Yeah. We can have discussions about uncomfortable things, or we can have disagreements on things without wanting to kill the other person.
Oh, there's nothing I like better than a disagreement. Actually, I'm Irish.
Yes.
I'll go toe to toe with you, but we can part friends too at the end.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what adults do. Yeah.
Well, it's about time, because I won't even tell you how old I am. I should be grown up by now.
It's getting old is just going to happen. Growing up, they have a little bit of wiggle room, and I'm not ready to grow up yet. So, all right, everyone. Again, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to support the channel by doing the like, share, and subscribe. Do the same thing on Helen's channel, and I've got her information in the description of the video. And in the meantime,
Marina. Thank you.
Yes, I will see you guys throughout the week. Take care. Bye for now.
Long foil.